my goodness, I don't know. And they said, well, okay. She closed the business plan. She handed it back to me, and she said, when you figure that out, come back and we'll talk more. So, I said, oh, okay, here we go again.
All right.
So I did. I continued to do some research and had some financial projections in place, and again, used these resources locally to really my advantage. Went back and we tweaked it a little bit more, and the next bank that I went to funded the loan. So that was a real blessing in disguise. So 1999, we started, we locked in the location there on Main Street, the corner of Main and Emerald. And yeah, we're 14 years in and having a good time.
Now, I'm trying to remember, what was in that spot before you were there?
Yeah, the Zerpas owned that building. It was Roussel's for a number of years.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, Roussel's.
And Monadnock Flooring was there prior to me moving in.
So. Oh, okay.
Roussel's, where you could get a pair of Levi dungarees for $11. Not anymore.
Yeah, the old Roussel. I remember Roussel's as a kid going there. They were on Elm Street, right, yes. Almost kind of right across from the fire station. I can remember going there, and that was a really kind of an interesting place. I remember as a kid. Yeah, it was all dungarees. That's kind of what I remember. So now you've been there for 14 years, and now you have kind of an interesting area right on the corner, because not only do you have public parking in front of you, but you also have a private lot behind you.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty nice advantage for that corner, and I don't speak a whole lot about it because I feel for a lot of these other merchants downtown about the fact that they just they don't have that luxury. But it is nice, and it's interesting having two different entrances, almost two different customer bases coming in from one entrance versus the other. So usually the people that come in the back door, that park in the back lot, are people on a mission to get something, and the people coming in the front door are the kind of people looking. So it's interesting.
But you've evolved too. I mean, if I look back over the history of just Keene too, Keene's always had some type of sport apparel building in the downtown area, and probably the one that's just as well known as yours was Sportorama, Junie's, and that went away, and we were missing that for a period of time, and so for you to you've become that, but you've also evolved over time. You started with a certain look, and if you go into the store now, even in the last year, you've changed the look and what you're focusing on.
Yeah, no, it's true. 15 years ago we were selling cleats for every single sport and a little bit more sporting goods stuff. And I'll be honest. Sadly, the World Wide Web and the box stores have kind of challenged those categories somewhat. And we realize that our best practice is really fitting shoes. And we're noticing such huge growth in the medical referral business, the diabetic footwear, arthritic footwear, and runners really appreciate being fitted rather than just take and go kind of thing. So we're seeing a nice big jump in the running business and runners in the area, and just health in general. People doing a lot of walking and just appreciate a good footwear fit. So those categories have changed a little bit, and retail experts say you're supposed to remodel your store every 5 years. Well, 15 years later, we're finally getting around to it. So, but yeah, it's nice, and I think we just have to listen to what our consumers need and what they demand, and the sporting goods business is challenging in a small town when you've got the big box gorilla and the World Wide Web as we know it. So. Right.
But one of the things that you started off doing, and you still do, is something that I remember as a kid, and I can't if I apologize to all the listeners out there if I get this wrong, but on Roxbury Street there was a shoe store, Boscia and Grout.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yeah. And that's where I first remember putting my foot on the metal little thing that measured your foot. But now it's gone. You now it's so much more technical what you do, and you step on this machine and it shows the areas of where you really. It's just evolved again so much, just like the store has.
Yeah, there's so much more data now, right? Shoe developers have these clear piezoelectric floors where they're evaluating foot strike from underneath the ground to see, the Newton meters of force on the foot and all this crazy stuff. But it's not really a whole lot different. Those old Brannick devices, which were developed in Syracuse, we're still using those today. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we're not using are those X-ray machines that you used to be able to stick your foot in. And,
I was going to say Boscia and Grout had one.
Remember those?
And if I'm dying of cancer, that's
Apparently they have.
Why is my foot glowing?
Yeah. But no, the sit and fit mentality is something that's important to us, and it's amazing how many people come in and say, "I haven't had my foot measured in years. This is great." So it's important to do that every time.
If you look at the downtown, and you see where it is today. I mean, we're always one step away from everybody's, everybody thinks that the businesses down there are just, doing quite well, but everybody has to watch their bottom line. Everybody, I mean, you can have a bad month, and that can really strike you down. But we've held pretty much for a period of time now a healthy downtown. And what do you think has caused that turnaround? And then what do you think the Colony Mill plays into as they start to evolve back, hopefully upwards again too?
Yeah, no, I think my timing from a retail standpoint, getting down there in the 99, 2000 era was pretty lucky for me. But we've had some pretty solid stores down there. I think Dean's addition to downtown, and I mean, I could name them all, but there's a lot of staying power with some of these merchants, just really responsible business owners. We're all coming off a pretty tough quarter. These last 3 months have been brutal. So now that the weather's changed, it's like finally we get some traffic and some energy again downtown. But you're right. Coming off 2 or 3 tough months of winter weather and really cold doesn't bring people out, and it's pretty challenging to keep the lights on. We don't have hundreds and hundreds of other stores to try to substantiate this one store that's not performing well. It's a one-store show. So,
right.
I do think I want to thank the city though, because the city's been really, I think, forthright and supportive up to now as far as supporting downtown merchants and changing the sign code a little bit to allow us to expand our open signs and internally illuminated signs for downtown merchants. The beautification of Main Street has been amazing. We had a couple years of some construction, which was somewhat challenging, but